ties in nicely with the Talia, and it's looking like a very well-rounded, straightforward comp from FlyQuest.
Yeah, I think the key that you kind of hit on there was the mobility for Corki.
Okay.
You're facing the Bard and the Maokai, so definitely want that extra dash. Yeah, looks like FlyQuest at least going to start up these grubs. Labrov and Skumon want to head over. Caps actually had to go get Honey Fruit though, so Caps is going to be a bit delayed getting to the grub fight, and you see Victor trying to clean up those minions by mid-tower, so that gives enough time there, enough priority for FlyQuest to grab at least the 2. They want the final grub for the Might.
Yep, they should be able to get it here as well, as in they go. Magical Journey does get Labrov out of there. But that was just G2 watching as all of the grubs fell down. Oh, there's a stat that we need to find as well. What's the latest first blood in World's history? Ooh. We need to get that one. I don't have that one.
That's a good request.
That is a stat that I hope we don't beat in this game.
I'm thinking it makes it more interesting if there's no kills for the entirety of the game. Yeah. It's not very far, isn't it? I don't know how long a foot is. I do the meters thing. I'm sure it's about the same size as a foot. Never mind. Quad. Let's see where the gravity field is going to work. The Arcane Storm doing a fair bit at the same time. But the Seismic Shove also lands. Death Ray comes in. The Flash and First Blood is a Cap solo kill that's immediately answered here as Busio pushes him back underneath the turret. But man, we had no action and then a solo kill.
Yeah, I think that because Busio has Hex Flash on Alistar, as well as Spellbook, he's still going to have some mobility. He might need it.
Yeah, he is ghosting, so that's going to move him pretty quickly, but let's just get into position here. Twisted Advance does come on down, but it's Skumon that does get pulverized. Another brilliant flick from Quad to pull Skumon back, and in the meantime, Caps, oh, that flash is gone, and Inspired will take him out because of it. Now Quad looking for that angle once again, and they have corralled them underneath this turret, but it looks like FlyQuest, they're just happy to get that one pick, and out goes BB once again.
Rek'Sai so obnoxious to lock down as Labrov throws the ultimate mid.
Yeah, Tempered Fate comes on down there as Hanwha gets on in. Didn't quite have the snap trap, but he just flashes over the Seismic Shove and will be able to get the last hit onto Quad. So Hanwha gonna even things up once again.
Build him up to a huge lead of 1K over Masu.
And last time, Vedius, I was like, oh yeah, you know, Quad, he just took his death and it was good, you know, because Cap splashed and Quad didn't. But that one, whoa, wait a second.
Yeah, got a bit of a flash forward here from Whippo, who's going all out onto Caps, has Inspired alongside him, and down goes the Victor once again.
A fantastic punish comes through from Whippo. Again, Caps had no real way to get out of that situation given he had no flash available. That's kind of scary. But admittedly, I don't think that she quite has the tools to get through what already feels like a very tanky Cassante, even though it's G2 that's first to this objective.
Trinity Forces are pretty good, aren't they, when they're built? As you can see, Hanwha getting the brunt of that. Masu does have that first spike complete.
Had a decent amount of money to spend, full BF sword there back for him, so good value there for him. 2 dragons stacked up by G2, but again, the top side objectives, the Grubs and the Rift Herald, are the ones that turn into early game gold. And so FlyQuest here, if they can use this Rift Herald, knock down one of these outer towers.
Almost a full level advantage over his opposition as G2 set their sights on the tower.
Yeah, Nature's Grasp does come down as Caps is getting pushed out of the fight. Ace in the Hole comes on through here as well, but looks like G2 decide against going for anything more. Net over the wall will get Hanwha to safety, and the Rift Herald going to then try and turn the tables as far as this push. And this could actually just be feats of strength right here as Shelly decides that she wants to give them over to FlyQuest, and that will come on through as soon as we deal with these minions. No real defense here by G2 going to get set up, and there she blows.
Tower achieved, as you say, the feats as well as the extra gold here. Soaked up by everybody, and Busio as well as Masu.
So it could be a battlefield here in this game, because there hasn't been much of a battlefield so far. There's 5 kills all up, but it's a lot of posturing as Labrov able to walk out of the way of the wall. Seismic Shove does go wide as Hanwha not quite able to get the net for the slow, but otherwise is able to get out of dodge. Still, Summoner Spell's now on cooldown, and that flash being down for the Caitlyn is a big deal as Labrov in the back of this pit just get flicked back, and I thought he was just going to Magical Journey out, but he doesn't.
Yeah, where are you going, buddy? Busio sits him down, and Whippo trying to sit Broken Blade down, but the flash is enough.
So much control of this area. Nature's Grasp for holding on to control as well is so incredibly good. Hex Flash going to get channeled here as Busio looking for an angle towards Caps, perhaps, as he gets taken down so incredibly low. Unbreakable Will comes in, and now you've got Whippo trying to make the difference, but Tempered Fate to hold them in position. Hanwha in so much trouble, and he does get taken down. Inspired to grab first blood in the fight. Busio is going to be the answering kill, and Broken Blade takes down Busio as well. It's FlyQuest that can actually answer back as Caps trying to do some of the damage, but doesn't quite manage to do so on this Talia thus far. And 2 items have now been completed as the Leandries is now done as well. They'll grab themselves another turret, and they are starting to really roll this snowball down the hill.
Yeah, I like that you're going, wait a second, this one's just for fun.
Bit of an exciting one here, as we do get a bit of a stun onto Skewmon, but he gets himself out. That's a headshot. That's a lot of damage onto Masu. Does need to be a little bit careful. The Infinity Edge is done.
I like that you're, really complimenting Quad there, though, because he's been so aggressive with all these seismic shove chunks, has opened up a lot of small opportunities for FlyQuest so far, and he's able to finish off that mid tower. So that's all 3 outer towers down now for G2. They have no longer any outer defenses, and FlyQuest immediately pulled the trigger on the Otacon.
Yeah, there is a ward still here, though, for G2, so they know the size of this health bar. As you can see, Whippo just trying to stand in front of them. They keep them out of this one, as my goodness, he's so incredibly tanky at the same time. Is G2 going to have to deal with him first? The wall goes down just to try and keep him alive. There's a Pulverize as well as Broken Blade. Gets himself out of there. Now the Nature's Grasp does fly past. But the Otacon will just turn its sights onto G2 this time, down to about 4K as FlyQuest possibly out of this. There's a flash forward from Busio, but I don't know about it. The flick back, though, is gorgeous, and Skewmon put in position, but unable to get the smite. That one's going to go to Inspired. As the gravity field goes down, the Arcane Storm doing nothing. Masu going to take down Caps, who cannot get it done. Now Broken Blade buying some space. They only lose one, but Otacon, such a big deal.
FlyQuest play with such patience. Quad with a fantastic ultimate to start that fight off because it isolates Broken Blade.
The fact that Inspired has been a little bit quiet this Worlds, well, I'm looking at this game, I'm feeling like Inspired's been pretty loud. 3-0-2 currently on the Wukong, as Whippo just constantly keeping G2 at bay. Standing in front, he's a bouncer this game, and that is going to mean that we've evened out the Drakes between the 2 squads. A quad stack Chemtech Soul would be a lot of healing and shielding power. Is this going to be enough for FlyQuest to look for a teamfight angle, because it's also soul point for both teams? Whippo goes forward, but isn't going to be able to find too much more. Inspired, look at that flank angle. As the knockup does come through there on Busio, the explosive damage is massive. The wall comes through just to make sure that Caps cannot get in. Hanwha not able to find Busio, but now the Unbreakable Will is worn off. Is this just going to be soul point over to G2?
Yeah, I think they get it. FlyQuest, basically Busio's out of the fight now. An Alistar low health with no ultimate doesn't get to do much at all. They just call it off. Yeah, FlyQuest, after they see that, they call off the play, and G2 win the objective with their burst damage on the Alistar.
And so once this Caitlyn and Victor get to 5 items, obviously, the fights are going to be a lot scarier for them. They need to leverage the advantage that they have right now.
Well, this could be certainly leveraged as Caps walks a little bit too far away from his turret and will just be taken out by Busio. Beautifully done. We also need to delay Elder Drake for as much as possible as well, because we want this game to go for about 70 minutes if possible.
For G2's credit, it is hard to push on these Caitlyn trap lines, but never mind.
Flash is going forward here as the wall comes down, and Hanwha just blows up. The inner turret is going to go down, and Skewmon is running the wrong direction. Bit of a jungle v jungle here as he gets the Teemo thumbs up. I don't think Skewmon's going to feel okay about it. Nimbus Strike comes forward. Inspired finishes him off, and I think this is the end of the game, as FlyQuest will slowly but surely, methodically tear G2 apart here in game 1. Busio going forward one more time. The Tempered Fate comes down for a bit of fun as the Nexus turrets, one already down, the second one to follow. Masu right in their face. The Arcane Storm not doing too much of anything, and the Nexus will now go down. Trading places here is Masu and Broken Blade, but down goes the Nexus, and it's FlyQuest up 1-0.
What a beautiful ending fight. They make me eat my words instantly. They all just flash over the Caitlyn traps.
And I love the way we saw Inspired playing around the Rek'Sai specifically in these fights. Consistently, that time it was a blast cone. The times before it was, I'm going to just stand in the pit and not move for the next 30 seconds.
Well, the Xayah is the most obvious thing ever, so that is just going to be locked in here to round out the G2 composition, but it certainly feels like G2 got exactly what they wanted, and this Soraka is confusing me, but I like it.
So I'm pretty open-minded because Soraka also can poke pretty effectively, so everyone's always focused on the heals.
Inspired, knowing that he has push on the bot side and the fact that his mid lane is winning out, allows him to secure this dragon, but Skewmont doing what he can elsewhere on the map as he looks to steal away this blue buff. But already off to a strong start from FlyQuest as they have control over bot mid.
Yeah, there's also a minute until the grubs are up as well, so it does give FlyQuest the ability to reset. All right, so if anyone on G2 gets their hands on him, this Soraka is going to go down, as the grubs will go G2's way, and a trade of objectives here to start this one off.
Genuinely impressed that G2 got away with that because FlyQuest did exactly what they needed to. Quad dropped his burst in mid lane to force Caps to be way too low. Skewmon doesn't want to waste any time. He's not even pulling the objective out. He's just going to melt through it. Inspired saying, no, not worth it. I'm just going to go clear my topside camp. So Drakes are going to be equalized. G2 with a slight advantage in that department. But again, the gold really going the way of FlyQuest pretty much everywhere around the map.
FlyQuest do not opt into fights if they don't have strong conditions ready.
Skewmon has snuck in here.
Yeah, you don't get to opt into all the fights, though. Sometimes the fights come to you.
Oh, it is happening as Lebrov makes his way over. They're looking for the dive. Knockup does come on through as Boostio gets the wish out, but there is first blood going over to the Trundle here at 13 minutes. The culling to soften them up, but Masu might even be in trouble himself as G2 do decide to back away.
Yeah, really good Trundle pillar here.
So we'll see who's going to be able to get set up for that one. Boostio here in mid lane for now. Looks like Fly do want to fight for it, but Whippo's also in trouble. Equalizer goes down, flashes away, and just gets chomped down by Skewmon. That's 2-0 for the Troll. And now without Equalizer and the Rumble, it's going to be hard for Fly to fight for this one.
Skewmon with some active plays. This is a much better look for G2 and for Skewmon. Skewmon makes the gank on bottom side, Vedius, then he makes the gank on top side, and a repeat gank as well.
Yeah, makes another gank towards this top side. Good flash out there as the wish comes through as well, but it's not going to work. It's 3-0 in the kills as G2 lock down those feats of warfare, and FlyQuest.
Instead, Broken Blade actually goes back to base. Hanwha is a little bit too low on HP, so he also backs off. And now this objective that G2 initially had position on, they're forced to concede it. Now, does it mean a huge amount? Not necessarily, because Dragon's spawning in 30 seconds, and I imagine that's G2's bigger prize. But yeah, now they don't have that TP available for Caps, and he's still on the top side of the map.
Well, Rift Herald is just immediately going to be put down here in this mid lane. That could be first turret. Going on over to FlyQuest.
Pillar.
Yeah, let's see whether it is going to come through, and there it is. Skewmon able to lock that one down as we have the ulti from Caps towards the top side. Whippo in trouble, but he's just kept alive by the ambulance. And now Quad, an awkward position for him as well, as Caps finds some damage there. Into the backline goes Broken Blade. They're kind of taking it in turns to annoy FlyQuest, and it's working very nicely as G2 keeping these health bars pretty up there. And FlyQuest starting to look a little worse for wear. Caps taking some damage. The Witch comes down yet again. The Equalizer not quite doing that much as Inspired goes in. Looking for LeBron, but he gets himself out. The Crescent Guard comes through as well as Broken Blade comes down from the heavens. Inspired's just looking unkillable on this Sin Zao, but G2 just won't go down.
Yeah, G2, they all live. Are FlyQuest going to try and rush the objective? I don't think that's possible here. Inspired highlighting how they want to use Soraka, you know? They're like, okay, if they get a little poke or whatever, we need to utilize that extra regeneration.
They don't want a fast fight at all. FlyQuest definitely prefer the kind of war of attrition, especially when they know they'll have the HP advantage.
Yeah.
And it's such a tightrope as well when you're playing with a Soraka, because you're really good into burst that doesn't kill you. But as soon as the burst kills you, Soraka is useless.
Suddenly, she loses value.
Yes. So as Caps gets more and more items, is able to do that big damage. Doesn't necessarily have a huge burst build right now. And I'll leave it at that. But the Otacon down to 50%. Broken Blade teleports in, but isn't going to be able to do too much more because the map is dark and full of terrors and bananas.
Yeah, the Whippo Rumble is not looking the best, but his teleport down to the bottom side does mean that they're full committing to Otacon, and they do get the Otacon. G2 make them pay for it, though.
I mean, I think the FlyQuest punish was just so good.
There has been some whoopsies left and right, but it does feel like FlyQuest got the better of that last moment and do get the Otacon for it as we have another engage to come through. G2 may have found Inspired yet again, but this is how the last fight started. Quad comes on over and just drops a bear on them. The Galio will be the answer. The knockup, he's still alive. chomp! And down goes the Xin Zhao eventually. Man, that took everything to make that happen. But now G2 with some control on this map, and you've got FlyQuest down to jungle.
There were FlyQuest question mark pings there. They did kind of expect.
Oh, Skewmon is just going to get flashed on here, tries to flash the wall, misses. And now you've got the Feather Storm needing to be employed. Another cheeky equalizer to come down, but Bwipo not going to be able to follow up on that one. And so the answer does come through, and finally FlyQuest are on the board. They've discovered how to get kills in this game.
Not very much time for them to try and take the tower.
I'm trying to understand how Caps went from being like 20 CS down to now 30 CS up. I haven't been tracking what he's been doing throughout the game, but he now has a full level over quad. And I mean, at the very least, Bwipo being able to secure this tower, it's such an interesting game because even though G2 find themselves with about a 2k gold lead, it still feels very close. And I think it's just because, every time we see a fight, the Soraka can offer so much value. And as Inspired said, it very much determines, or it's determined by how quickly G2 can find an initial kill. If they find that initial pick, then it could be very good for them.
No flash on Bwipo.
This might be that initial pick that you were talking about. Outer turret is going to be taken here. Bottom lane to follow suit immediately. The rest of FlyQuest moving on over. They accept the turret and they just move on. That is going to expand that gold advantage to about 3.2k. This is sole point, remember guys. This is not something that FlyQuest really feel comfortable giving up, but they're not going to be able to move in here into the fog of war to try and deny it. So they're going to have to try and get this middle outer turret instead. Baron just spawning now. FlyQuest moving towards this top side with that mid outer turret falling.
Okay, so only the top tier one left for FlyQuest.
That it did result in this Trundle being really hard to take down now. And Trundle kind of thrives in these scrappy fights.
Well, he's going to have to try and book it over here. It is Broken Blade with a lot of CC, keeping Bwipo busy. Equalizer goes down. The Wish comes in, but he just dies before FlyQuest could get in there. Still, they're going to look for the fight, though. Crescent Guard comes down. Lebrov just explodes in an instant as the taunt is fantastic. The flash out from Inspire, but he still dies. Not enough in the tank here for Busio. And G2 finding the advantage here. Redemption comes down. They've got healing of their own. It moves to a 3,000 gold lead, and they might have Baron on the mind as they push this lane in.
G2 see Rumble with no flash, and they jump on Bwipo again.
Bwipo's flash just came up as well, but unfortunately too little too late. And now G2 know they have the numbers advantage. There's no smite available for FlyQuest. With Annie around, they might try and contest this still. Masu in the area. Let's see what Pokey can get down.
It is a pretty early Baron, but it's going down very, very quickly. A teleport is available here as soon as this Rumble does spawn, and he's teleporting in now, but the Baron is going to go down. Quad immediately explodes as Bwipo cannot get anything done. Flash over the wall there from Busio as Bwipo decides he wants to go aggressive. I'm not sure about that one, but Masu tries to get the kill on Skewmon, and it doesn't quite work. All of these Barons still up and available, and the Justice Punch to bring Broken Blade forward. He will find his mark as Busio's still alive and getting this healing down, but the problem is they're not doing enough damage to G2, and they're just going to back up. The culling is working as intended, but unfortunately, it's just a little too late.
The Soraka healing is just way too monstrous. It feels like G2 find a pick, but then can't convert it into a kill. They still get themselves the Baron, though. That was the objective that they wanted.
This fight just blew it wide open. They've got Baron buff. They got a bunch of extra kills off it, too.
Okay, well, we're looking for a bit more of a fight here as the heroic entrance comes down. Quad takes a large chunk. FlyQuest still in it, though, as we can see. Masu is going so aggressive. I don't know whether it's a good idea, as there is the ulti out from Caps to get so much AoE damage, but Masu still alive. The ambulance is working, but Skewmon finally gets the jump down. And there goes the AD carry. G2 are a freight train. They'll break the inner turret, and they'll probably get more because they've got Baron, and they're looking at a game number 3.
G2 will finally get a bit of revenge against FlyQuest as they finally get a big... Wow, I suppose they'll get a big inhibitor.
They do get a big inhibitor push. It's still good. It's still big.
Back away, they can get themselves the Infernal Soul, but this is definitely their game to lose as they look to bring us to Game 3.
It certainly is Game 2, Steve.
Yeah, I was about to say, what's his name going to be in Game 3?
It's Game 3 Gary, and I hope you guys are ready.
If I knew it was Game 3 Gary before, I'd be so G2 biased in this game. Oh my god, I'm really glad you saved that until now, as the priceless moment of the game does come on through. Infernal Soul for G2. A Rebel Baron power play putting them at about 8.7k in the lead. And FlyQuest trying to get back out onto the map. You can see Inspired just wanting to keep this fight going, but Between Worlds comes out from Caps, and he's now on a rampage against Quad. And Masu feels like he just came out of the death chamber, but immediately they're looking to try and put him back in there as this siege. Baron or no Baron, G2 will be able to take down another inhibitor turret. And with Infernal Soul, I think they'll have the damage to burst down FlyQuest now. The culling comes through, but Skumon says what? As he just takes most of it. Equalizer in as well as they look for Whippo, but he does go gold and the quickness comes on through. The charm is fantastic. They try and keep him alive, but it does not work. It's a bit of a trade though, as this Rakan is going to be taken down, but man, these wallets, they are so heavy from G2. First Nexus turret to be taken down. Masu going to be next to be taken on this fountain, and G2 showing them that even though they did get swept at MSI, Hero World's going to be a different story.
And I think it's just such a big difference for Skumon game 1 to game 2.
It's interesting how when the draft came through, I think we all kind of liked the Soraka, right? Because what it could possibly do for the Xin Zhao, and that we become such a raid boss. But maybe he didn't have enough damage in the end to make it work.
See how it does go, but now to round out this comp and decide where this Mundo is going, and it looks like it will be in the jungle unless we're flexing to Jack's jungle, which is likely not going to be happening. Labrov to lock that one in.
In fact, Inspired might look for a wraparound because there's no vision on the bot side, so Broken Blade in a lot of danger.
Yeah, looking a little bit dicey here as the Counter-Strike comes in. The Flash W is going to connect as the Grandmaster's might is not mighty enough, and First Blood goes over to Whippo on this Crocodile.
And the advantage that Whippo gains after Broken Blade loses all that farm as well, just beautifully done from FlyQuest as they've now already built up about a 500 to 600 gold lead. Oriana gets first rotate, but the Varus is nowhere near. I mean, Skumon's happy with one. He doesn't have to overcommit to anything else. They've denied the 3 grubs, and so small advantage that G2 will be happy with.
And that is going to be both of them picked up, so FlyQuest do grab themselves 2 points of that those feats of strength, which is certainly a big deal.
Busio, good value trade right there for Nautilus. He's got point and click. And Varus, wait a second, they do stop the recall, so they know Inspired is around here.
God is going to have his ultimate very, very soon, but they know the timer, and it looks like G2 are just going to be able to burn this one down, so evening up the Dragons, grabbing themselves their first neutral objective of the game as well. And it's a Cloud Soul, my personal favorite, no bias, but Dancing Grenade doing a lot of work here, actually.
Caps on Oriana is still pre-first item breakpoint because you have to start off with the tier as well. And so you're facing this Nashor's Azir in the side lane, and that's just, it's so problematic. Broken Blade, meanwhile, as you can see on screen, they're going for the 2v1.
Yeah, Whippo, this is going to be a difficult one to deal with, especially with the Brock turning up. That flash not going to help, and Whippo is going to be taken down. It's a lot of money removed from the Rift. And there's not a lot of mana, but still, not going to quite get to
that wave is now quite awkward once again, but Skumon's here to fix it.
Oh dear, throwing the first briefcase. As we've got a bit of a problem for Caps as the depth charge comes through, Flash comes down, but the answering anchor is fantastic. Busio will be traded though, gorgeously played by Caps to make sure it's a 1-for-1.
And that is worth for FlyQuest for sure. They're going to push afterwards. How much? I mean, is he going to actually interrupt? Okay, he is. Quad could just go greed and farm another turret plate then.
I do feel like Trinity Force on Jax is kind of the point at which Jax really starts to feel confident on a side lane, and that's what we're starting to see. Quad now has to be a lot more respectful as the Rift Herald is started off by G2.
Exactly. It took him a while to get there, but he did, in fact, get there.
Yep, teleport is available here from Broken Blade, so it can be a 5v5. As there's the anchor connecting. Glacial Prison goes down as well. Decent chain CC as the Shockwave is decent as well. It's massive damage, but it's G2 coming out on top as both the Nautilus and the Renekton on the floor, and they'll claim the objective.
G2 get a massive fight around the Herald.
And Hanwha just melts through that double front line there.
Oh dear, Caps might be in a little bit of trouble as the curtains have been called. The last shot comes through and Masu will be able to nail it, evening out the kills. Still, that last play putting G2 back into touching distance once more.
I mean, FlyQuest don't waste any time. They get back out on the map, they find a big pick, and now Skumon sets his sights on bot.
Yeah, Quad actually greeting a little bit to make sure that he gets this turret, and Emperor's Divide comes down, but there is a spell shield, and Skumon says what? And once again, it is going to be Quad going down. Beautifully played. They did manage to get the turret, of course. He kind of knew that he was going to be in a little bit of trouble, but good cleanup.
Yeah, G2, they use the Feats turret as like a little bait. So they know, okay, this guy is definitely going to stick around for the tower. Let's go trap him there. And so G2, they get a kill off of it. But that is going to be the Feats for FlyQuest.
It was a really nice interrupt from Lebrov as well, because it looked like Quad was going to get away to safety. But that's a tower going to be secured by Bwipo, and so FlyQuest will hold on to the gold lead. When we look at the bottom of our screen, all of the gold lead really is sitting on Bwipo. And so far, in that last fight, he got shut down so quickly. Hanwha's continuing to ramp up in terms of itemization. Another tower secure.
Okay, will go down as the minions do deal with it. Hanwha holding Inspired in place as he procs that Blighted Quiver. Starting to do a fair bit of work here as 1.5 items are completed for the Varus as the Dragon was started here for FlyQuest as G2 still going to be pressured away, and it will be the Dragon going down. Bwipo going to be stopped as well. That back not going to come through. We'll see whether they can get a dent onto this turret, and with the Rift Herald they will be able to.
Yeah, G2, they have to respect FlyQuest.
Oh no, another one, and this time the Magnustorm comes in. Bwipo has to flash, gets himself out of there. Shelly gets a headache, and will be able to take this one down. Skewmon stands in front of the hook, and Busio has to cleanse, gets himself out of the way. Oh, the Emperor's Divide moves Skewmon away from him, still able to get the kill, but now the curtains have been called. First bullet, second bullet, third going to miss, the fourth one lands, but it's eaten by Lebrov, and he's going to be just fine. G2 limp away.
A crazy back and forth as Masu secures a kill. 6-6, the scoreline at the top of our screens. Not enough time because we're starting off the Arakan. G2 is just forcing this one.
Yeah, FlyQuest do have vision. They know what's going on, but it is burning down so incredibly quickly. Mundu is very, very good at doing a lot of extra damage to these as Busio not going to quite hit the anchor. As can they get to steal the answers? No. Bwipo taking a fair bit of damage. This Broken Blade is now so dangerous, but Bwipo still able to get that work done with this dominance, but it's in fact the redemption that helps out. And down goes Quad as well. And it looks like FlyQuest not quite making this one happen as G2 just move forward. Mundo is indeed doing exactly what he pleases as that cleanse, that ain't gonna help you, buddy, as Skewmon does have a lot of paperwork to do and he's in the way.
G2 win a massive fight around the Arakan, an objective that has become so scary in domestic for throwing games. G2 play flawlessly. Broken Blade finally gets revenge on the side lane. The mid tower is going to fall, and this game is getting out of control as G2 grow the gold lead.
G2 just take over at the Otacon, grabbing it and all of this gold. What a massive, massive swing.
This is pretty amazing. We have to remember as well, this game, you go to top 8.
Before Inspired had a chance to join, he was walking all the way from base, but let's get back to live.
Yeah, we got another battle here as Broken Blade will find another counter-strike. It only hits onto one, but it's so difficult to kill this. Jax, he just dives on top of Masu. I think he's gone too far though. Does get the redemption, and what the heck is this? Jax still gets shut down. And that was looking frightening, and he was very alone.
Broken Blade showcasing his comfort on the champion.
But this time around, G2, they pulled the trigger so quickly that the front lines wasn't set for FlyQuest. Now going for a little exchange as well.
Yeah, looking for a little bit of an angle, but no full commitment onto any of these fights. Skewmon just standing in that front line. There's the flash forward, and where did he go? Master just explodes thanks to the shockwave, and now an exhausted Quad is just gonna fly his way out. But now without their Jhin, this should mean that G2 can get themselves this Dragon that has just cropped up to even the scoreline there, even able to deny some backs.
The combo is clean, and G2 are playing with confidence. It feels like this game is slipping so far away from FlyQuest. Their options are becoming limited, and
yeah, nice arrow from Hans right at the beginning too. Everything hitting at once. Masu down, and G2 are primed to make it into quarterfinals, and they're doing it with Skewmon on his Mundo. Well, the rest of the team here going at Busio again.
Yeah, looking for a bit of an angle there, but Leap Strike does get Broken Blade over the wall. They will be okay, as never mind. Inspired, looking for an angle. Deadly Flourish comes down. Another curtain call to come in here as Skewmon flashes himself away. Busio's dead once again, though. The last bullet, not quite enough, but Quad does have the follow-up damage. It's a trade of supports. For now, the flash forward from Inspired. He thinks he's found the angles. Bwipo just flashes on top. Hans is going to fall down for the first time in this game, and now this Crocodile is doing what he wants instead of the Mondo as they escort G2 out of the river.
FlyQuest are fighting back. They flash, they get the kills onto Hanwha. 2 down though is not enough to rush an early game Baron, so it's just gonna stop at that gold.
Are you
Wait
sure?
a second, maybe
They've got Quad at full HP. I think they have the damage to force this. G2 only have 3 members alive.
Skewmond is going to come over here as, yeah, if Quad's doing
Caps
damage to
has
this,
TP.
it's going down very, very quickly. And so is Skewmond, as we can see here. He's just a health bar, and this is Nash's and that Leandri's completed. Busio makes his way back. Broken Blade wants to get in here, but this Baron is going down so incredibly quickly. They have vision, but they have no one in the area, and it's FlyQuest that take the first Baron.
And they actually get out. It is enough to get them Baron. Betty, this game is gonna be a banger.
But still, this Azir is doing so much work.
This game could still very much go either way. The Baron has bought a lot of time for FlyQuest to hook.
Yeah, hook to come on through there as Busio starts off the fight. Glacial Prison is good as well to hold down this front line. The last bullet this time is not going to land as we have fights on multiple fronts. The counter-strike to interrupt the teleporters. Labrov will be able to get himself to relative safety. Now it's G2 trying to turn this one around because Bwipo is so much of what allows FlyQuest to win these fights, and he was denied. And that is not very much in the grand scheme of things. But still just nullifying. That does put G2 back in a decent advantage. And now Soul Point on the line. Cloud Soul could be a big deal for either of these teams. And man, this goes down fast. 3 items now completed here for Hanwha with this on-hit Varus build. Will it be Bwipo finding the priority target? But he's found instead as Labrov gets into that brush, clears out the control ward. And G2 now with the upper hand as Broken Blade wanting to sneak in once again. Bwipo slices to get out of there, and Quad has to get out as well. Busio starting off the fight, gets the double knockup, but Skewmond is so tanky. Not tanky enough, this Azir is just going front to back. As now Broken Blade with the counter-strike is going to be able to help take down Bwipo. The hook is going to not land, but the Magnet Storm is gorgeous. Not enough to do all the damage, and Busio somehow got in there, but look at the Emperor's Divide. Down goes Broken Blade, the curtain call as well to slow down Labrov. G2 still with some players alive, but these health bars are so low, and FlyQuest come out on top.
And Skewmond goes down without activating his ultimate. He just gets popped in the CC. FlyQuest, they turn on Baron.
A second Baron, almost like back-to-back after it spawned at 25 minutes. And FlyQuest get another go with the Rebel Baron power play.
That is absolutely insane.
Oh, the timing of that Emperor's Divide was just gorgeous from Quad. We're right into another team fight as now Bwipo having to use that Q to try and get his health bar back, but Hanwha's just going to shut him down. The Deadly Flourish as well is trying to work out, but Broken Blade stays alive. The Emperor's Divide is gigantic, and Baby will go down. The Azir is taken as well, and G2 straight out of the replay, straight putting FlyQuest into the death chamber.
Caps goes on a rampage. He finds such a huge shockwave with the help of Labrov. G2 may well have done it. There's only Inspired left to try and defend the base, but after 3 long years, I think Europe is back at the quarterfinals.
It was looking like it was going to happen again. It was going to look like North America could deny them one more time, but it's the top 8 in the eyes of G2 as they look to take down these Nexus turrets. The Nexus, the next to go down, and the Baron curse for North America is their bane, and G2 say thank you very much.
Caps, the Western GOAT,